Hey guys, so here we have Alexis Lowery. We recorded this again like 4 or 5 years ago, and her screen kept freezing. And then I think there's a few audio things that kind of mess it up, but I cleaned it up as best as I could. And apologies in advance for anything else, but again, she was great, and I really wanted to release this. So here's Alexis, everyone.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before I get to our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Alexis Lowery on the podcast. She's coming to us all the way from sunny California, where I've the majority of my guests have been from California, so I might as well, it's ridiculous. I've been trying to get guests from all over the US, and I think I'm at like 48 of the 50 states, but California seems to be the big one. But she's a bodybuilder. She's also only 24 years old, so she's making me feel ancient. I mean, that's just 26, I'm really getting up there. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Alexis, thank you so much for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And well, I got to ask first of all, because I need to make myself feel a little better. I told her what my weather was like, and she told me what hers is. But what's the weather like in California for all the audience that are listening?
It is 100. I think it's around 100 degrees. Let me see. I'm not sure how hot it is exactly, but it's pretty sunny. It's pretty hot. I'm sweating a little bit.
That's perfect because it's 70 degrees here. I like to anytime that I can get a guest from a sunnier climate or a warmer climate suffer a little bit. I'm all for that because I've had times in the winter where it's literally like -30 out and my window is literally just frozen solid. And I might have like a little candle or something like that by the screen just so I can warm up a little bit. So hey, I'll take it. But before we get into that, because I'm planning a Winter Woes podcast. It's like 10 hours long of me just telling me my worst weather stories. Why don't you give us your backstory on what really inspired and what motivated you to get in shape and how that led to where you're at right now?
I was never athletic as a kid. I was like in art and stuff. And then in high school, I started playing basketball and I really, really sucked. I was a bench warmer, but we had these workouts we did I think it was 3 times a week. And I was like better than everyone at those. And then I joined the Marine Corps out of high school and I got really into fitness at that point and started weightlifting like maybe 6 months into the Marine Corps. And I've weightlifted for the last 5 years, and 2 years ago, I think I started competing and I did my first show. It was an INBA show. So it was a little tiny show in Yuma. I was stationed in Yuma. So it was a show. There was no other physique girls. So I was by myself, but I got my feet wet and I loved it. So then I did my first NPC show last year and then took a long off season and I'm getting ready for a couple shows here this fall.
So I hope you won that show if you were the only one competing.
Yeah. One by default. It's not
Well,
very.
hey, a win's a win, no matter what you like to call it. But I was gonna say, yeah, you join the Marines, you're gonna have to get in shape. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
So that must have been a real starting point. But was it always weights when you got started, or was it more of like obviously in the Marines? I mean, it's push-ups. I can assume a lot and stuff like that. But was it always weights, or did you start out differently?
For basketball, for our workouts, we did a lot of they're called Australian pull-ups. It's like where they have the bar, like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You like lift off from the ground. We did a lot of those and push-ups and a little bit of weights. And I did like a weightlifting class in high school, but I didn't get into like bodybuilding style workouts till I joined the Marine Corps. So like 5 years ago, I was in the schoolhouse in Pensacola. And so I went to the gym. I like fell in love with it there. And then it progressively, I got deeper and deeper into like loving it. Now that's like my life.
Well, you mentioned weightlifting in high school, so I got to mention. I've never mentioned this on the podcast, but in my school for the first 3 years that I was there for high school, we had four classes basically. So it was quarters thing. So each class was like an hour and a half long. So my last semester, and we did it half the year. So half the year you were doing one, and the other half you were doing, or no, it was actually 4 quarters. So then you had 4 classes for anyway. So the last quarter of my junior year, this was my schedule. I had a history class, which I'm a history major in college, which was the first class. Then I had a weight training class. Then I had an Excelsior class, which is basically you go in the wintertime, you go skiing or you go bowling, basically in the summer. It's like all activities. And then I had Phi Ed for my last class. So 3/4 of my day was fitness related or was anything, just basically having fun. So anytime someone brings that up, I got to remember that because that was like the best. Like I didn't even bring a backpack to school. No, didn't even bring a backpack to school. Just showed up and just yeah, it was great. But how long into your journey? Because I always say, like, if you were to walk into a gym with 100 people, there's 100 different ways as to how those people got into shape. Whether it comes down to their diet, their nutrition, how many reps they do, what exercises they do. So many little things add up to that overall package that people end up seeing. And if you were to walk up to someone and say, like, oh my God, this body part looks amazing. How'd you get it to look like that? 99% of the time, what that person did is not going to work as good for you. So what was that experience like for you, sort of experimenting and figuring out what worked best for your body?
it's funny because, okay, so when I first started dating my now husband, which is about the same time I got into working out, he showed me who Daniel Lynn Bailey was, and like every physique girl was like, oh my God, Daniel Lynn Bailey. But I started doing workouts based off of her workouts. And well, before that, I just looked up the best exercises for each muscle group on bodybuilding.com. So I learned off like YouTube videos and stuff, and then I learned off of what she did. And I slowly learned to like enjoy the pain and suffering. So I would just do as many reps as I could till I was like dying, or like push as much weight as I could. And like it's slowly, and then I've like slowly gotten better at my form and stuff. And so it kind of like everything was a slow progression, I guess. So yeah.
Well, which is why I always say for anyone, especially our age, who, I mean, our generation wants to do everything yesterday, basically, and they want results immediately. This is not a lifestyle that you want to get into then, because it's going to take a long time. But hey, the gratification definitely is there at the end when you see those changes. But I love to talk genetics on this podcast because, especially in this day and age of Instagram and everything, where everyone is connected, and there's so many times that I hear, oh my God, I want her arms, I want his abs, I want their back. People do not understand that everybody is so specific. You don't know, first of all, how they got to that look. You don't know how they maintain it. I mean, some people, let's just be honest, are born lucky, where it's easier for them to lose fat and it's easier for them to put on muscle. But on top of that, I mean, I always love to say, you can only be the best version of yourself. I mean, that's what one thing that a lot of people have trouble accepting. But on top of that, whenever someone first gets started working out, they always have that one body part that really, really takes off, that they don't have to train as much. And they always have that one body part that just lags behind, that they have to train to oblivion. I mean, I told you my legs being 6'3" are just pain in the butt, but my back, just because, I had jobs all throughout college of working in warehouses where you lifted and loaded boxes. You got a nice back or you quit. But what were those body parts for you when you were getting started?
I would say because I think a lot of girls just naturally have delts just pop, and mine have never been like that. So when I get cut down, they show more, and I get really excited. But I think my shoulders and my back have been my weak points for a long time. And I think the biggest reason my back has came up so much over the last year, because it has came up a lot, is I started training it correctly, because I was overusing my coach. He's Derek Farnsworth, super cool guy. He showed me how to train it correctly because I was using my arms in traps too much. And so ever since he showed me that, it's like been light years difference. So I think that was my biggest struggle, was definitely because I would overuse my arms and my traps.
What was the one body part that really took off?
My legs, because I've always had big legs. So yeah, right. I'm sorry.
Hey,
But
I found that with people on the shorter side, that tends to be the thing.
yeah,
And especially with women, it seems that their legs do take off because they have a little bit more muscle down there. So it's fine. I mean, hey, the best thing about living in Minnesota is that 9 months out of the year, it's basically Gene weather anyway. So, hey, you get to hide them a little bit. So, hey, it's not too bad. But one of the myths and stereotypes that I love to bust on this podcast, and we talked about it briefly before we started recording, is that, it's gotten better the last 5 years. But I mean, there are still so many women that have that fear where they walk in the gym, they see one dumbbell. I mean, automatically there's like, where are the treadmills? Where are the treadmills? I just want to go and run because it's going to make me look better. But as soon as they see that dumbbell, they just have that fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to gain, 50 pounds of muscle. But did you ever have that fear when you were getting started? And obviously, I bet you still hear that all the time to this day. How do you like to respond to that?
so I don't think I ever really had that fear because I liked the big muscle look. Matt, maybe like freaks, I was like, that's too much, but I don't think that now because I understand the sport. But anyways, I never really had that fear, but I know a lot of people that have. But like, it takes hard fucking work to put on muscle, and girls just don't understand that. They're like, I'm just gonna do cardio, but then they'll like compliment girls that have muscle, but they don't understand that they lift weights. Like even the bikini girls lift weights, and so they have a little bit of muscle, So it's not facts; it is lies.
Well, and I always say too, we hear so many times where it's like, I want to look good, I just don't want to look like you. Like we hear that all the time for bodybuilders, and it's like, do you understand what a bodybuilder does to get that look and stuff like that? It's
this, like,
yeah. You should. I mean, bodybuilders. If I was a bodybuilder, I'd just be walking around saying, "No, this happened just with one day." I mean, I didn't even work out actually. This is just what I look like. I mean, I don't even. But no, it's just that's one thing that's just ridiculous though. That I always say is just like, if only people knew what bodybuilders really went through. But one thing that I think impacts women so much more positively than it does men, and it impacts men positively too. But it's that confidence boost that working out gives you. I mean, we have heard hundreds of stories on this podcast of, especially women who they're able to take that confidence boost and use it to impact every single aspect of their life. And I mean, men can do it too, but that's the only thing that you can really take from the gym and impact every single aspect of your life. Because I mean, unless you're basically a professional furniture remover, you're not going to be able to take that for every single aspect of your life. But how have you personally taken that confidence boost that working out's given you and used it to impact your life?
So when I was coming up, obviously I told you I was like a bench warmer on the basketball team. I was definitely a big time loser in high school. Uh, and so like coming up in bodybuilding and seeing myself make the progression, I'm like more confident, like you said, in every aspect of life. Like when I was in the Marine Corps, I like ended up taking on lots of billets and I like took leadership roles and stuff because I had the confidence to do it. And I feel like that did come from working out because you constantly get complimented as you're improving your physique. And that's like, oh, maybe I'm not a loser. You know what I mean? Like it's just helped a lot with my confidence in general. It is, you're right. It relates to everything.
Please tell me you went to your 5-year high school reunion and everybody like, holy crap, is that Alexis?
Right? I haven't even like heard anything about her. I mean, maybe they'll have a 10-year. I don't know. I had like 2 friends in high school. So if I
No,
don't
but
get
still,
invited,
everyone just be like, "Oh my god, is that Alexis? That one girl that sucked at basketball?" No, no, it's yeah, that would be hilarious. But yeah, it's just, I mean, and it's just amazing the change that you've made in just that short of a time period. But one of the things that I think that change owes itself to is the nutrition, because I mean, oh my god, no one talks about the nutrition, or if they do, they don't talk about it as much as it should be. I mean, hardest part by far. I mean, you try down in that last bit of protein, or you try. I mean, and some people don't realize that that's the hardest thing for a lot of people is just eating the amount that they have to eat. It's not the foods and stuff, but yeah, well, especially for someone your size too. It's like, yeah, you're gonna need to eat. It's need almost like constant feeding. But what were some of the bigger nutritional changes that you made when you really started to take things seriously?
not gonna lie, I love eating food. And so, and like me and my husband's dates are always eating out. And so this prep has been hard because I haven't been able to eat out at all. But oh, yeah. So eating is easy, but the hard part for me is like not binge eating and like spreading out my meals, like eating smaller meals. That's been like really hard for me, but I know that it makes results because like especially low carbs. That the hardest part for me is dieting down because I eat all freaking day. But I guess also part of it is like eating the right foods because you want to eat those Dunkin' Donuts or like whatever. But that's been the hardest part is eating correctly and like the right amounts, not overeating. For me personally, I know for some people it's like eating enough. I wish that was my problem.
I overeating is my problem, but being my size too, it's
Yeah, you do have to eat a lot.
my food bill. God damn. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, but hey, that's great too. But I mean, on top of that nutrition, I mean, I always say just for the general public, if you were to take everyone in the general public, the amount of hard work and dedication that it takes for someone just to be able to get into the amount of shape that it takes to go on a prep. I mean, 95 to probably like 99% of the general public just don't even have the genetics or they don't have the drive to be able to do that. But once you go
Yeah.
on a prep, I mean, everything becomes so scientific where I mean your nutrition has to be perfect. You have to get all of your workouts in. I mean, everything just becomes so down pat and scientific. What is that like for you when you enter that zone in that mode of prep? Because it's a whole different beast other than just your off season working out, basically.
Yeah. For me, like it's hard for me to get into the routine and I don't realize how much crap I'm eating until I'm dieting and I'm like, wow, I ate a lot of snacks in the off season. But then once I'm into it like a couple weeks or 3 weeks, it's easier and then on top of seeing results, when you start to see results, then you're like, oh, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna look better next week. I can't wait to see what it looked like on Saturday. So that makes it easier is like seeing the results. Because then I get hungry for more results, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And it's, hey, I always say bodybuilders, they got to be a tad bit crazy just because some of them go through like half a year of prep just to be on stage for a minute the amount of time that I was on stage playing sports. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous compared. So that's why I say they might be the most dedicated athletes on the planet because, normally if you work out that hard, you're playing a sport for like half a year. Yeah. So it's just, yeah. So that's one thing that I really, really think is cool. But I think probably like the number one overrated thing that I would have never guessed in a million years when I first started this podcast, because I was a little bit familiar with bodybuilding, but is that for so many of these competitors, posing is the hardest thing for them. I mean, I would have never guessed it in a million years, but now I always like to compare it to, I mean, it's harder than your nutrition. It's harder than your working out. And I compare it now to being like a perfect driver where you can be a great driver. You can never be a perfect driver. You can be a great poser. You can never be a perfect poser. It's always ever evolving. What is your experience with posing been like?
Oh my God. If I look at like when I first learned how to pose compared to now, night and day different. But then even now, I still have poses that I struggle with. And it's hard to teach yourself because you can only learn so much from pictures. You need like a second eye that can like tweak little things here and there, that you don't even know you're doing wrong. Plus, you can't see yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, you can in a mirror, but it's not the same. So I feel like having second eyes helps a lot.
Oh, I mean, I've heard so many people where they're like, oh, my first prep, I didn't have a coach and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, how did you survive? Like, I could never do that. So yeah, anyone out there, definitely get a coach. But out of your poses that you do, what is your favorite pose to do, and what is your least favorite pose to do?
I really like my side tricep just because my arms are like bigger than a lot of physique competitors, and so like I like how much they pop. But I think the hardest pose for me is probably my back double because I struggled a long time with properly spreading my back, and then my ab and thigh just because my leg placement is like awkward sometimes. So I'm working on that one. My coach literally told me today, he was like, "We need to work on your posing." I'm like, "Okay."
I was gonna
So
ask. I was gonna ask to see her guns, but she's 24, so I'm gonna wait till the end because I don't want to embarrass everyone and have half the podcast leave. So we're gonna save that for the end there. But no,
okay.
it's just yeah, the posing. I mean, I always said if anyone ever said front double bi was their least favorite, I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is this? It's actually happened twice. And both people, I was like, you need to see a therapist. But yeah, abs and thighs is usually the number one that we hear, just because it's just the most awkward looking one. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
it's
the
hard.
leg placement's awkward. Like, I don't
Yep.
know, my leg,
Hmm.
know?
How long did it take for you to develop, because so many people don't understand the muscles are not meant to be in that flexive a state for that long period of time. It takes a lot of practice, and people don't realize that. I mean, a lot of times you sweat more in your posing sessions than you do in your actual workouts, and it's harder than that. So how long for you before you think your body developed that where you're able to maintain those poses? Because sometimes those psychotic judges might have you on stage for a couple of minutes just in a completely flexed state, and you're not meant to be like that.
Yeah, and you're tired. I guess it took me like because I started prepping for the NPC show because I had actually had a coach for the NPC show, not the natural show, the INBA show. Anyways, that took me because I was working on my posing with him for like 20 weeks, so 5 months, and my posing sucked at that show. So I would say maybe at least a year because it's my posing's pretty decent now, but there's little tweaks I need to make to present myself better. Which I have 3 weeks till my next show, so hopefully I can get it down by then. But I would say it took me about a year to like really be able to hold the poses well and stuff and like not look awkward.
That's normally the amount of time that we hear too. So that's pretty average. So yeah, and it takes so much. I mean, there's probably one person that I've had on that was just a natural at posing where they just were able to get it, down pat. And I think that they're just a complete absolute anomaly. But what is that feeling like for you when you get to walk up on stage and show off all of that hard work that you've done for months upon months?
Well, I haven't done it too many times yet, but the last time I did it was like a bigger stage and I loved it. Like so a lot of people tell me like obviously I was nervous, but like it was a good nervous. Like I like the adrenaline rush a lot. I think that was my favorite part. And like the posing routine is like I don't know, it's really cool because it's your own creativity type thing. And so if you can have a good posing routine, I think that's really cool. I like to watch like pros pose and stuff. It's cool.
Oh, well, like I always say, I mean, you could be the most in shape person on the planet. If you don't know how to pose or have a good posing routine, it's like you're not going to win. I mean, I've seen specific examples myself where I'll have guests on where I'm like, okay, that body is going to win first place, and then they end up getting like fifth or something like that, and then you look at their posing routine, and then you're like, oh, that's why. Because it's like
Yeah.
all you really had to do is show up and not screw up at posing, and you would win that. But then they find a way. But yeah, that's posing. It's why I'd say it's probably like a third of what of the results that you really need to have is your posing. It makes just a world of difference. But when you're on stage, does time really seem to speed up, or does it seem to stand still, or is it sort of a mixture?
I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I competed. I would say, I guess it. I feel like the day goes by slow, but then the part when you're on stage, it goes by fast. If that makes sense. Because the day goes slow, we're waiting forever to go on stage, and then it's over like that, and you're like, oh, well, that happens.
I've had that experience plenty of times as well, but being that I have, the whitest skin imaginable for my thick Norwegian roots, I mean, I have never been tanned a day in my life. If I were to walk outside right now, I'd either get a farmer's tan, which let's be honest, that's not a real tan, or I just get burnt to an absolute crisp. So I mean, I look at bodybuilders and I'm like, okay, just for one day, even though I know a lot of it's spray on and stuff like that, just for one day to look like that, but what is that feeling like for you when you get that tan on? And we hear so many stories about how like you see all the muscles pop, you get to see muscles that you never even knew that you had. What is that like for you when you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, everything's done now and I can just relax and get ready to go on stage?
I mean, like I haven't done it that many times, so uh, yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like it gives you peace, kind of, because you finally get to see what you're kind of gonna look like on stage. Obviously, you're not gonna know until you're going on stage, but it gives you an idea, like, oh, I worked really hard, and this is what I'm bringing. Like it kind of brings everything full circle.
I mean, for me, I'd be like, oh my God, I can finally rest now and do something.
Yeah.
But then, the bad part about it is that you can't really sit up against anything. You can't really sit on anything. You kind of just have to become a statue. So it's like, yeah, just let these people should be able to sit for God's sakes. But, unfortunately, with that spray tan. But yeah, so I hate to ask you this because you're 3 weeks out, but what is a go-to post-show meal that you're looking forward to the most?
Oh, you don't have to be sad to ask me that. So I like to watch. I'm weird. When I'm hungry, I like to watch food videos because I feel like in my head,
You're
if
one of
I
those
watch,
you're one of those freaks that likes to make yourself
yes,
torture more. Yeah, okay.
this is how I justify it. I'm like, if I ate all of the things that look good to me right now, I would feel disgusting. So it makes me feel better about being hungry. It's weird. But there's this restaurant I found called Eggies in Pacific Beach over here, and they have like egg sandwiches and like these weird things. It's like French toast in a jar or something. So that's the first place I'm gonna go after my shows. Like I'm super excited. But I don't know. I like sweets a lot. So anything sweets, like those big ass cookies that everybody always shows on Instagram. I want one of those for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're even making me drool thinking about those things. So it's my least favorite question to answer. And I mean, but another myth and stereotype that I love to bust too is that so many people don't understand that look that you guys put on stage, that is not a sustainable look. You're not going to be able to look like that 24/7. And I think a lot of the reason for that is that, you have like shows like Biggest Loser where people go on that show and they might lose like 200 pounds. And then some of them might be able to keep it off. I mean, not nearly all of them, but, and then a lot of people just assume, oh, if they can do it, then why can't these bodybuilders? But they don't understand that you guys, first of all, the manipulation that you've done to your body through all the dieting and even the water manipulation and just everything that goes into that end stage look. I mean, they don't realize that a lot of these competitors, they put on like 10, 15 pounds a week after, and and it just goes up from there a little bit more. But what was that like for you when you first realized that hey, I am gonna have to put on some weight, and this look that I've worked so hard on, I mean, it's not a sustainable look.
Okay, I definitely remember. So right after my show last year, I ate like shit for like 2 weeks, and I was like, "Oh my god, I look so gross" or whatever. Right now, I look back, I'm like, "Wow, I was shredded. What the hell was I thinking?" But like once I got past the fact that okay, I'm gonna have to let it go, and then I like slowly after those first 2 weeks, I like slowly tapered up my calories, and then when I was in off season, I ate like shit and I blew up or whatever. I wasn't like really fat, but like I ate a lot and I got pretty thick, and like I look back at it now, and some people would regret it, but I'm like, I'm glad I did that because I definitely put on muscle while I was doing that. Because I was still, the thing is, I was still working just as fucking hard as I was in prep on the off season because I wanted to look good for this year. So in my head, it's fine. Like I know that I have to put on weight to put on muscle, and I like eating food, so I don't feel bad.
Well, and I always say it's just like starting your own business where you got to put on weight if you want to put on muscle. You got to spend money to make money. I mean, unfortunately, that just happens. And until someone finds out the secret to not having to do that, I mean, that's just the way it has to go. But one of the training methods that I love to bring up on this podcast because I was familiar with it a little bit before I started this, and I practiced it a little bit, but everyone's been talking, or I shouldn't say everyone, the majority of people have been recommending time under tension. Do you like to use that at all in your training?
I actually used to. I used to do like before I started working with Derek. I used to do everything like really slow and controlled because I like to do things that way. But he's taught me because I like to learn different methods anyways. But he taught me to move with the weight because it like activates your muscles better and it's not as hard on your joints and stuff. And since I started doing that, like I said, my back's grown a lot. So I feel like both ways are good. It just kind of depends on what your weaknesses are. So like mine was my back because I use my arms too much. So the fact that I move the weight more helps.
Well, I've just been starting time under tension for my legs just because, you know,
Oh,
that
yes.
that length that I have, it's gonna, and believe me, those leg days the day after where you're just like I can't even walk really, and then you got to get up and do all that. But cardio is probably the most interesting thing for me, just because I hate it more than anything else, but it's the one thing that also helps you get some of the best results. But now with this, pandemic, I have all the time in the world, so I am doing more cardio. But what is your relationship with cardio like?
Well, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Last prep, I did not do all of my cardio because I was a shithead. I mean, I did it most of the time, but there were some days where like I'd wake up and be like, I don't have time. I'll do it after work, and then I didn't. But this time, I really do. I fucking hate cardio. But this prep, I'm like all in. Like I want to win this fucking show. I want to get my pro card. Hopefully this year. Believe me, I'm shooting for the end of this year, to be honest. But like I have like a new mindset, like I am going to win. So like I have not missed one cardio session this whole prep, and I've been working with Derek since May, and I've been prepping since June, I think, like the beginning of June. haven't missed one session of cardio, and it's definitely paying off because I'm more conditioned now than I was at my show last year, and it's been like that for like a month or two. I've been more conditioned than I was at my last show. So I hate cardio, but I know that it's a necessity and I know it works, especially at this point. So that's my relationship with cardio. I hate it, but
Yeah, I think everyone really just has that where they're just like, yeah, it's a necessary evil. Where I've had some track people on where they love it, and I'm just like, okay, your life must just be miserable then. Oh yeah, you just must be a psychopath. But yeah, I mean, but we got to talk about the coronavirus because I mean it's impacted our lives in so many ways, and especially with bodybuilders. I mean, I had some of those poor souls that were like 2 or 3 weeks out from a show when it first hit, and then they really got screwed over. But what is this pandemic been like for you? Because I can imagine, especially being in California where everything's still on lockdown basically, and for who knows how long it's going to be. But how has the pandemic impacted you, and especially like your bodybuilding?
Okay, so luckily, thank God, I was in a off and still in off season when it first started. So it really sucked when they closed my gym. I go to the gym San Diego. It's like the best. Well, I'll get to that. But okay, so I was going there and it closed, and I was like pretty bummed out for like a couple weeks trying to like work out with resistance bands, which is totally not the same. And then me and my husband bought some dumbbells and like a kettlebell, so I was working out with that. And then I actually have a friend named Tom in Alpine, California, which is like a 30 or 40-minute drive from us. And he plans on opening his own gym eventually. He just won his pro card, actually. He's almost 60, and he won his pro card at the North Americans. But he got a bunch of gym equipment at his house, and so I would drive 30 to 40 minutes every day to go work out at his house until the gym opened up like 3 months into quarantine. And so they opened back up. I was going there for like a month, and then they closed again and reopened outside. But in the midst of all this, me and my husband slowly built up our own gym in our backyard because we moved into a house that we were renting like a month into coronavirus. So I have my own little gym at home, and I got my friend in Alpine. So I actually was able to work out the whole time except for like the first couple weeks. So I'm super, super thankful for my little home gym and our friend Tom out in Alpine. Like, if it weren't for that, I probably would have lost my damn mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because anyone doesn't know, I mean, bodybuilders and gyms, that's basically like a crack addict on crack. So they gotta get their fix. So yeah, that's those two just happen to go together. But I mean, being that you're at such a young age, I mean, how has this really impacted? What's your family's opinion on it? Because I mean, when I was young too and really taking things serious in the gym, sometimes my family like, you need to go out a little bit more and have some fun. But what is your family and friends' reaction been like to you making this journey at such a young age?
So most of my close friends are from the Marine Corps, so they already knew I was into fitness, so they just kind of expected me to like slowly keep getting better, I think. But like my family, my dad 100% supports it. Like he thinks it's super badass and he's super proud and all that. And he's always been really about working hard, so he's always like, "I taught you how to work hard," because he used to make me work construction with him all the time, so that was good times. But my mom, she's very religious and she's not really into the sport. And for a long time, she'd be like, "Why are you posting yourself in a bikini online? Like, why are you doing this?" Like, but now she just kind of accepts that's what I do. I'm trying to get her to come to. I'm doing a second show after the first show, and 2 weeks after. So she's going to be in California that time. So I'm really trying to get her to come so she can hopefully understand the sport because I just think that she just doesn't understand it. So that's kind of what my family thinks. My siblings all think it's pretty cool. I've like my dad has 3 kids with my ex stepmom, and then my mom has a kid with my stepdad. So they all think it's pretty cool. But yeah, my parents are very different on it. But
Well,
whatever.
your brothers and sisters aren't going to be getting in any arguments with you anytime soon. It looks
Yeah,
like so.
so-
You can
yeah.
you can be the one that settles the family disputes. You just show up, and then
Yes.
everyone will just be like, okay,
And then
everyone calm down. Yeah.
that's debatable because my dad's kids, they're all way taller than me, and
Oh
like
yeah.
they're like little giants, and they're 13. My 13-year-old brother is 275 and like 6 foot.
What the hell?
I know. I saw him for the first time in like a year or two, like a couple months ago, and I looked at him. I was like, "Who are you again?"
That kid better
What?
be playing football.
That's what I'm saying. He's 13, so his high school really sucks. But I think maybe they have sports. If they don't, I told my dad, "You need to get him into freaking sports."
Get him at O line. Are you kidding me? That's an easy Division 1 scholarship right there.
Just for his size, like,
Yeah.
and he's like a little tank. Like he'll try to fight my dad, like, and it's crazy. He needs to play sports. He will be a legend. He's so big, it's insane.
We had one guy at my high school who was 7'1", and he was kind of, I'm not gonna lie, he was like a goth kid. And every year the football coach would go up to him and just say,
please, please.
No, he would just say to him, he just go, the first time you put on that helmet, you're going to be able to go to college for free. Like, you don't even have to be good. Like, colleges will just say, hey, this is an experiment, so we'll take him. But yeah, he never played. And I always thought that kid was the dumbest kid on the planet, because I was like, you just need to show up. Like, being that big, and he was like 360 pounds or something like that, like 7'1". So I was like, dude, hey, but hey, it happens. But yeah, some people like that are just genetically blessed. But like, so like my friend group is really weird, where some of my friends, like I have a few friends from high school and then a lot of friends from college and then everything, but everyone in my friend group is at least 6'2". So we're like super tall. So like if we all go out together at bars, there's like 8 or 10 of us, and we're all like at on average 6'2", and then like a couple of them are like 6'8" or something like that. It's really weird. Yeah. Yep. Well, hey, we're able to recognize each other at bars when they used to be open too. That was the only positive thing. We could see each other from a mile away, so we're like, oh, there they are. Yeah. So there's a little bit to that too, but I mean, with just the working out and stuff. So I asked a question to all of the people that listened to the podcast on New Year's Eve last year, and I said, what's one body part that people are looking forward to training the most in this next year? And the answers were arms, abs, back, shoulders, legs, and I think I did like calves separately, because everyone knows that my calves are the worst. I'm like Johnny Drama from Entourage, where I mean, I small calves, just always looking for the bigger calves, but arms won by like 15%. So I always like to ask every guest on the podcast, what does an arm workout look like for you?
So I'm not gonna lie, I low key arms is my least favorite thing to train, just because it's such a small muscle group. I know that's like crazy, but
if you were a guy, I'd kick you off right now.
Well, it was my favorite when I first started out. It's funny because it flip flopped. I hated training legs when I first started working out. Now I love it, but my arm days, I usually hit 3 or 4 different exercises for biceps and triceps and switch back and forth. It usually consists of like cable curls, and then I switch it up, like easy bar curls, dumbbell curls. I like the hammer curls for dumbbells. Sometimes I tried doing overhand on a barbell machine or a bicep machine the other day, and I really liked that. And then for triceps, that's probably also one of my least favorites, just because the burn is so. I'm learning to like it more, but I used to hate it.
That's why you got to be like me. I save triceps for the very, very end. That's the last thing that I do, because it's the lasting burn. But yeah, I mean, arm days for me, that's the one day where I wake up and I'm like, this is going to be the easiest day of my life. And it always is. I mean, it's just because I've just gotten so used to it. So, I mean, and let's be honest, I'm a guy. So guys basically communicate with their arms, and it's basically, yeah, you just grunt in the gym, and then you just look at each other like cavemen, and you just nod your head, and you're just like, yeah, oh yeah, you work. Yeah. So that definitely helps. But yeah, people don't understand too with the triceps. That's so undervalued, because it's way bigger than your bicep, and it makes your arms look even bigger. So anyone out there, just look into that. And yeah, everything that she said is stuff that is recommended by a lot of people. But when you are training too, I mean, a lot of people with their training, you always have the people that are just really, really into it, and they, just leave me alone. I don't want to, I don't want anyone to be within 10 feet of me. And then there are other people that are a little bit more social. What do you generally like there? Are you one of those where you're just like, leave me alone, or you're just a little bit more approachable, do you think?
So for a long time, and I still kind of am like this, I train with people more often, but for a long time, I only wanted to train by myself. And I would be like tunnel vision. Like, I wouldn't fucking look at anybody. I would like glare at people and stuff. And I still do that sometimes if I train by myself. But now, like, if I know you, I'll say hi, or if you say hi to me, I'll wave, or if I know you, I'll wave. But usually I'm pretty like focused, and I try not to get too mad at people. My gym has been, so since gym's closed, my gym has been stupid packed with people from like 24-hour fitness and LA Fitness. It was just cool, like get in shape or whatever, but like get out of my way. Like, not to be mean, it's just really irritating, because my gym was more of like a bodybuilder's gym, and now like everybody goes there and it's super packed, and it's very irritating. So that's like my pet peeve right now. I try not to get mad at people.
Oh yeah, but you would never guess this in a million years just from hearing me talk. But I am the worst when it comes to like, just leave me alone. Like, don't even look at me. But like, if I have friends, like if I know them too, like I'll give them a nod. Or if I have really like in between a set, like if I know I have like 2 minutes, sure, I'll go over and say, oh hey, how you doing, for like 30 seconds. But literally, as soon as I'm in the zone, it's like, don't even. I've had people come up to me, and being the Minnesotan that I am, where it's just passive aggressive to the extreme, and like just being nice is just the thing where you have to be nice, but like deep down I'll be like, you son of a bitch, like you're trying to. So yeah.
I'm like very nice, but like in my head, I'm like, okay, leave me alone. I really want to work out now, unless like I'm really good friends with the person, So I 100% respect that.
Oh, but my biggest pet peeve is when someone just asks like, how many sets have you got, when they clearly just saw you just start your first set.
Get on.
Yeah. And then I've had times where like people
stand there and wait for you to talk.
Yep.
Like, please don't watch me work out.
Oh,
Please leave me alone.
if they're being a dick about it, I purposely, like, instead of taking like 45 seconds in between sets, I'll take like a
Oh,
minute or two. I'll
yeah.
really just drag it out, and hey, I'm gonna admit it, I've done that before, but yeah, hey, so that's why, yeah, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I hate feeling rushed.
Yep, that's one thing that for me also. But I mean, one of the things that I love to talk about, especially with the coronavirus outbreak, is that this is the one time that you can get in shape if you really wanted to, because I mean, people have so much more free time, it seems like, and but the number one excuse that we always used to get is, oh, I just don't have the time to do it. I just don't. Yes. And I mean, unless you're Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because I'm pretty sure he made a deal with the devil to get like 27 hours in his day, because I don't know how he gets all what he has done in that time. But everyone else besides him has 24 hours. But it's just, you don't have that excuse now. And a lot of people, I think, want to get in shape, or I should say everybody does, because I don't know if I've never met anyone that's out of shape that loves being out of shape. And if they say that, they're probably lying. But they just lack the tools and the knowledge. And I just always say, if they were to have that, it would really help. But what advice would you have for people that are, maybe just thinking right now, because like, oh, I have all this free time, and especially being in California, because it's probably going to be till the end of the year when the lockdown's in. So it's like, we have all this free time now to really like get in shape. What advice would you have for people just to get started? Because I always find that it's just like taking that first step in the gym, where once you take that first step in, it's almost impossible to leave without getting a workout in.
So, because I started out at 1.2, right? For me, literally, when I started out, I Googled, because people ask me, like, what do you do for workouts? I'm like, well, when I started, I just Googled stuff. You know how many athletes out there give out free programs? And then with the diet, like look up a diet online, and just the biggest thing is be consistent, because people will do a diet for like a week or two and be like, I'm not getting results, I quit. What? Like, and then again with the dieting, is I feel like people will diet too hard, and that's why they fall off so fast. They should do like small, subtle changes, like slowly, and do more and more changes. You know what I mean? Because it's easier to stick with it if you slowly make changes instead of like instantly super hard diet for 2 weeks and then I quit. You know what I mean?
We had one guest that when she got started, she did the 500 calories a day, 3 hours of cardio diet. So, yeah, everyone out there, don't ever do that. I mean, unless you're being bet like $1 million to lose like 30 pounds in a week, then I guess that's what you do. I mean, I wouldn't even eat then, but don't ever do that. And like, there's so many people that I know that try to go Rambo, and they go balls to the wall for like, I'm gonna do like a 5-hour workout and get really.
They're like, what are you doing?
They last a week, and then they're just like, yeah, my body's just dead. And I was like, oh, I wonder why? Because you just basically went all out. So it's. I mean, again, with our generation and patience-wise, this is going to be hard for a lot of people to get, but I mean, it's going to take a while, but just enjoy the process too. And I like to compare it to like being an alcoholic, where if you're an alcoholic and you go one day without drinking, you've already made significant progress. But if you go to the gym and you work out, the next day, if you look at yourself in the mirror, nothing's going to have changed.
Yeah.
You're going to be the same. I mean, it's just unfortunate that's the case, but hey, I mean, it really is just important that a lot of people have that mindset. But if we were to talk to you a year from today, where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding career? Where would you like to just be at in your overall life? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved if we were to talk a year from today?
Definitely would like to be a pro by then, and hopefully be getting ready for a pro show. That's like super goals. That's pretty. I mean, I work a pretty good job in Coronado down here, so I would like to still be working there because I make good money there. And then I want to move to Vegas and buy a house there, but not next year, in like 3 or 4 years, because I have the GI Bill. So I want to get like a degree in accounting and become an accountant, because they make bank. If you didn't know, I just found that out from my dad's accountant. But I'd like to get a job in accounting and eventually move to Vegas. But that's like longer term goals. So for now, I'm gonna just stay in this house and keep working, and hopefully be a pro by then. That's the biggest goal.
Well, I have a friend who only had their associate's degree, and they make bank being an accountant. So it's just it's insane. But so you want to move from? So you were saying that you're sweating now at 100 degrees. So you want to sweat at 120 degrees in Las Vegas?
I lived in Yuma, so I feel like Yuma's even worse than Vegas. So if I can survive Yuma for like almost 4 years, I'm cool with it. Because Vegas, I feel like bodybuilding is very big in Vegas. It's big here too, but it's not nearly at the level that. Plus, they have way more gyms, and their taxes aren't as crazy there. And I don't know. Oh, the housing. That's what it was. The housing. The housing there is like $1 million house here would be like 350,000 there.
Because no one wants to live there because it's so hot.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Oh, I have friends that have moved to Arizona, and I'm like, okay, you're never going to get any sympathy from me, because you're putting this on yourself. And then they'll text me and be like, they'll be like literally frying eggs on their driveway, basically. And then you're like, okay, hey, Hey, you did that. But no, so I'm one of those weird people. Me and my aunt are the only ones that have this opinion where we would rather be super cold than be super warm, just because, I mean, that's the Minnesotan in us, where the polar vortex 2 years ago, it was negative 80 degrees with the wind chill here. So 30 seconds with exposed skin is going to get you frostbite and negative 80 degrees. So, and I had a job where I had to go outside and work for 8 hours. So that was the most,
God.
6 layers.
6?
6.
Were you still cold? I bet you were still cold.
Literally that night when I fell asleep, my legs felt frozen solid, but like they didn't have frostbite or anything like that, but it was just so cold that like I had 5 blankets on and wrapped around them and they still felt frozen basically. And yeah, that's the worst. So the only part that was exposed was my eyes, because you have to obviously see. And one time when I closed my eyes for like 5 seconds, the eyelashes froze together. So then I had to like breathe into my hand and then like rub it into there so it like unfroze. Yeah, not a fun time. So yeah, I'll take. But hey, the only reason I say I'll take that over like 120 is because if it's that cold, you can still keep yourself warm if you use enough layers. But at 120, if you're outside, you can't make yourself cooler. Yeah, you can't, unless you have like a bag of ice, but then that's gonna melt. But so, yep, there's that. Well, okay, and obviously it's just something that we all have to deal with being in different climates. But if lastly, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
My coach, Derek Farnsworth, he has taught me a lot. And my husband, Andrew, he has supported me through everything. And he's like always hyping me up. He's like, oh, you can do this and this. I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And then my gym, I mean, I've been going to my gym for about a year, and they're the greatest. Like, even if we do got some idiots there now that from other places who hopefully will go away, I love my gym. Like, they have good equipment, and they're just the guys that all work there and own the gym are super super nice. So
Well,
yeah.
and because you are 2 years younger than me, I have to ask you this, because if any of them are bigger than me, then I have to go and train right now. What are some of your best lifts?
Oh, my best is, I mean, always was. I don't really do it anymore, but bench press was always, always, always my favorite. I got up to like 195 for a rep, and I tried 205 one time, but my husband spotted me, and he's not a good spot, so I didn't really count it because he like touched the bar. So 195. But I would say that's my best was bench press. I just haven't bench pressed in forever.
Thank God. Okay, I was sweating here because I was like, if she says, because mine was 245, so I was like, okay, if she says more than that, like I am going down to the gym right now, and I'm making it whatever she's done, and I'm doing like 5 more pounds. But I had one powerlifter on, and she was like, yeah, like 345 or something like that, and I was like,
Oh, God.
I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna try that. I was like, I'm not gonna try that. Yeah, I'm good. I'll give you that one, but. All right, so yeah, again, thank you, Alexis, so much for sharing your story. I mean, I really, really appreciate it, and I couldn't think of a better way to end this. Can you give us a front double bye so you can embarrass everyone? Oh my God! Just hold it there for a second. She's 24 years old. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, what the hell? That's just absolutely insane. Okay, everyone, we all need to go and hit the gym now, because that's just insane. But Alexis, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.